Hello, everyone. This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports All Plays Network. I'm here today with Logan Landers and Chris Brown. What's going on, everyone?
Hey, how you doing, Nate? Chris, how you doing, man, brother? Glad to be on here.
I'm doing good, man. How you guys doing, man? It was a great Thursday. Long day.
Hey.
I'm glad to talk about sports right now, man.
Hey, I'm with you, man. I'm with you.
Yeah. So today's show, All Sports All Plays Real Talk, is brought to you by Suzanne Paparazzi's Jewelry. All products are lead and nickel free. All products are $5 special offer for ASAP Sports viewers. Free matching earrings when you buy a necklace. Order now at paparazzisaccessories.com. The promo code is 160920. So, we're going to do things a little bit differently today.
Okay.
All right.
And we are going to, instead of talking about NBA first, we're going to be talking about the NFL. The first question I got to ask is, who do you think, who's, out of what you've seen so far, who do you think is the, who's going to get the MVP? And I'm going to give this to Chris.
So my prediction in the beginning of the year was Russell Wilson. And from how he's playing right now, I think Russell Wilson has been MVP. You know, his defense hasn't been great, but he's leading his team to victories. 75 completion percentage with over 130 passes thrown, over 1,200, passing yards, 16 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. This dude is balling. He's leading the NFL right now in touchdowns. You know, he's probably going to have, I think he's going to get up to 50 this year, get close to having, his career. I think he's going to break all his career highs this year in passing yards, completion percentage, touchdown to interception ratio, touchdowns in general. I think this year the Seattle Seahawks, are starting to, we already see, let go and let Russell Wilson really be the great passer that he is instead of being a run-first team. And by, them doing that, they're letting Russell Wilson to shine. And the more he shines, the more he's just going to take away from MVP. But I will say this. I hope I'm not stepping on anybody's foot here, but the second guy for me that if he keeps this, I'll say that then. I'll let you guys say it, then I'll say my top 3 so far. I'll let you guys say your picks. I don't want to steal anybody's MVP pick here.
All right. Now, I do agree with you, man. I think Russell has been having a heck of a year, no doubt. But let's not act like there's a 1 and 2 here. There's a 1A, which I think is Russell like you. Then there's a 1B. Right now, for me, that 1B is Aaron Rodgers from the Green Bay Packers.
Same.
We have seen this dude time and time again be a clutch performer in the green and gold. On the year so far, he's got a 70% completion percentage, 1,214 yards. He's thrown for 13 touchdowns, and I repeat, zero picks. So this dude has been very consistent as always. And I saw a clip that he said the other day on the Pat McAfee show. He said that sometimes his low season records is some dude's highlights. So he's got a heck of a confidence going into him for the rest of the season. And we've seen what this guy can do. And yeah, I got Russell and Aaron battling the rest of the year about who's going to get that MVP.
I hope it's Russell Wilson because he never even got an MVP vote, let alone an MVP. So I hope this year, if he keeps it up, because he has spectacular years. But this year, if he gets it done, number 1 seed in the NFC, number 1 seed in his division, has all the stats, this better be the year Russell Wilson gets his MVP.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, man. He deserves at least a vote, if not getting the MVP.
Yes.
Yes, he's long overdue.
Real quick before we continue. We have a guest joining us. His name is Louis Tenorum. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yes, most people don't get it right, but you're one of the very few that does. Because the E is silent, gentlemen. That's the thing.
Who is your MVP pick, or out of what you've seen so far?
Well, I would think that it would be Wilson because he hasn't done it yet. I mean, it's very shocking. I mean, he has a Super Bowl title, but he's never got that MVP. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not a big fan of him. I think Seattle was a bunch of wackos, but won't deny his greatness, and I think he is well deserving, of getting the MVP. Yeah. I mean, because basically, I think off the field,
Denver Broncos fan, as a Denver Broncos fan, I was sadly disappointed when our team got bombed by Seattle, that 48-8 game 2 years ago, and I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah.
But my pick, I'm gonna go on to what Logan said. I think all of us have Russell Wilson as our MVP pick. This dude has been phenomenal. So Russell Wilson as our number one. Number two, I have number three being Aaron Rodgers. Number two, I'd probably go with Josh Allen.
He's on my list too.
And no, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that because I have Russell and Josh Allen on my fantasy team. I'm not saying it because of that. Yes, he's been giving a lot of points. I'm not saying it because of that. I'm saying he's been scoring. He's been throwing a lot of passing yards and touchdowns and all that kind of stuff. And then, number three would be Aaron Rodgers. Okay. So my next question is, what NFL team has been the most disappointing this year? I'm going to give this to Lewis first.
Would it be sorry or safe to say that the New York Jets have been a disappointment, because I was expecting great things from them after coming off 7-9 last year, and they haven't done anything this year. I mean, they're just like, well, I'll put it this in the toilet. I'm sorry, because I really had great hopes for them this year, and it's not going well at all. And I think whether they win or not this week, I think Gaze is out, or he should be. I mean, Gaze should be as
I read somewhere. So I read somewhere that he's probably going to get fired by tomorrow, if I'm correct on that. So Logan, what's your response? Do you agree? Or do you have somebody else?
Well, I think going into this year, the Jets, they were like Louis said, man. The Jets they're kind of depleted. They have a lot of young guys that need to kind of build up some experience and whatnot. But I'm gonna go a different route here, Nate. I know you said a team, but I'm gonna go with an entire division here, man. I think we all know which one we're talking about. The NFC East. None of those guys have a winning record.
That's fine.
The Eagles are sitting at the top. No offense, man, with a 1-2-1 record.
That's fine. And
Football
12 players injured.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Hey, I'm not knocking them on that, man. I'm just saying for the whole division, though. But if I had to pick one team, I would say the Cowboys. I don't think anyone saw them going 1-3 on the year, and they have way too much talent to have that kind of a record.
I did. I did. Dallas.
I was going to say, looking at that hoodie, I would think you would too.
It's not even because of, before I give my pick, I just want to say it's not because I'm an Eagles fan, it's the Cowboys. It's because, for the past couple of years, for some reason, this team wants to pass the ball over run the ball. Mm-hmm. When they have Ezekiel Elliott, and then their defense is very, from this year to last year, their defense has dropped off.
Yeah.
And when I look at that Browns game, I say this every day. How do you throw with Dak 58 times and run with Zeke 12 times? And you go scoreless in the second and third quarter. That right there is just going to blow my mind for the next couple of weeks. But Nate, to answer the question, I have to go with the Houston Texans. I did not see them being 0-4. Now I understand how big of a trade, they traded away DeAndre Hopkins, who you can argue he's 1, 2, 3. I want to be mad if somebody says number 1, 2, or 3, but he's not anything below that. They traded him for a running back, and they have one of the worst running games this year. I knew that the running back they traded for, David Johnson, hasn't been the same for the past couple of years, but I thought this maybe could be a restart. They're playing like trash. I'm not going to say no curse words. They're playing like trash though. 0-4. I thought at least that receiving core will help Deshaun Watson out a little bit. You have some studs over there. They're not impressive. That defense isn't impressive, and I'm glad they finally fired Bill O'Brien. So I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs this year. I just want them to have a better season at 0-4, at least go 7-9. Glad you got rid of Bill O'Brien, and now this Texans team can go into a restart with Deshaun Watson on his extension, find a new head coach, and build the right way.
So I was not surprised that they got rid of Bill O'Brien. I was, however, surprised the timing, though. It was kind of a little bit off.
It was too late.
Maybe towards the
Way
middle of
too
the
late.
season. Yeah. Well, I will say though, is Dallas was kind of an unexpected, well, not really unexpected, but it was kind of a surprising team. And that's not my biggest surprise. I'm going to go a different route than Logan. I'm going to go a different route than Chris. And I'm going to go a different route than Chris. Atlanta Falcons. I'm going to go with them. They have not been, they have not been consistent throughout all 4 quarters of the game. And they were up 20-0 against Dallas in the first quarter. And they were the only team in the NFL so far to lose to them.
Yeah. Look.
Dallas
I'm
was at least not a surprise. The record was not a surprise. As a matter of fact, I am 4-0 at predicting Dallas Cowboys games this year. That was not a surprise.
You?
So do you have anybody have anything to add on to that?
Yeah, I'm from Georgia, so I knew going into this year that the Falcons. I didn't have them going 0-4. I had them going 1-3 so far. But look, they need to get Dan Quinn out of there sooner rather than later. I know after the Super Bowl, everyone was calling for his head, rightfully so. I was also. But I'm like, let him get a year back and see if he can do better. No, he didn't do much. And then this year, it seems like the team plays good in like the first half. Mm-hmm. But then once they get a lead, they just go into halftime and they're just chilling. They don't want to get the win. They don't have the fire. They don't have the tenacity like they should have. And that's not on the players. We've seen what Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and all those guys can do. It's got to be on the coaching, and it's got to be on the owner, Arthur Blank, to let go of the that toxic head coach, because it's not pretty. Every time the Falcons get a lead, there's just a uneasiness in my stomach. It's like, all right, they're gonna blow this. It's an Atlanta thing. There's, my heart's been broken so many times, dude. I'm just numb to those games now.
They need to take a page out of the Texans book and just fire their coach now. There's no point in waiting. You're not making the playoffs. You're by far looking like the worst team in the division. Just get rid of them now and just say, forget it, because there's no point.
I'm with you.
Yeah, cut your losses. I mean, so Brian gets fired, and you think Gaze will be fired by tomorrow? Not even gonna give him no Sunday, huh?
We'll have to see.
Well, I said if the Jets are going to go 0-4, Gaze is gone. Especially after that. But when that heartbreaking loss to Denver last week, I'm like, okay, if they don't get him this week, then there's really something wrong here. I mean, because they let that one get away. And
Sam Darnold needs some hope.
Yeah, he needs some coaches, man.
Oh yeah. And they need to work on their defense more. They have a lot of points.
Yeah.
Yep, you're right, man.
Jamal Adams gone. CJ Mosley didn't play. Le'Veon's done. The wide receiver left and free to see. It's just like I'm feeling real bad for Sam Darnold, because I will say this: if Sam Darnold was in Cleveland right now, this team would be. They're 3-1, but they will be better than what they are. And their record says 3-1, but you could be 3-1 and not the best of your ability. I believe Sam Darnold is a better quarterback than Baker. So I feel like if Sam Darnold was in Cleveland, that team be championship contender.
Baker Mayfield had something to say about that, of course.
Now, I agree with your statement, Chris Brown, but is your statement going to change if they beat the Colts this week?
If who beat the Colts? The Browns?
Browns.
No. Yeah. That's not going to change. Sam Darnold has been playing like he's better than Baker. Baker has spurts, but he's never truly consistent, And this team really transitioned. Well, we're going to see what they are right now since Nick Chubb is hurt, if they're still going to be a run-first team. But to me, when I look at this team, I think their run is better than their passing game. And Baker Mayfield's a good quarterback. He can throw in a run, but he has to be way more consistent with what he's showing right now, and a better leader, better everything. I think he's talented, but from what I've seen in the NFL play, Sam Darnold to me has been playing better at a more consistent rate with less talent, far less talent.
Yeah, that's a shame.
So
Yeah,
next question is can a wild card team? I'm going to go first on this. Can a wild card team make it to the Super Bowl and win it this year? And I say because they went to 7 teams and only one team has the first round bye. It's more likely to, obviously. It really depends on who gets the wild card spot. To be fair, but Chris, I want you to go on this one.
I 100% believe a wild card team this year can make it all the way to the Super Bowl and even win the Super Bowl, even if there was 6 playoff spots. You look at division like the NFC South. You have the Buccaneers, and you have the Saints. Now, both of those teams are most likely going to make it into the playoffs. Both those teams are Super Bowl contenders. One of those teams is going to be a wild card. Then you look at the NFC West. You have the Rams, the Seahawks, even the Cardinals, and even the hurt 49ers. Now, I predicted the Seahawks were going to win a division, but I'm pretty sure some of those teams are going to make a wild card spot. And all those teams, anybody can beat any given Sunday, and all those teams can make it all the way to the championship. You look at the NFC North.
Excuse me.
No, maybe past years, but not Mitchell Trubisky. And, I feel bad for the Bears. But that might be the only division that a wild card team doesn't have the talent. You look at the, AFC South, you have the Tennessee Titans and the Colts. Both those teams, to me, are very, very talented and can make it all the way. You also have the North. You have the Steelers, the Ravens, and possibly the Browns. So, with this extra wild card spot, there's a lot of divisions that have 2 or 3 teams that's going to make it to the playoffs, and some of these teams are talented enough to get all the way. So I believe a wild card team can make it all the way to the championship.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris, wholeheartedly. Especially with like this year, man, because we've seen a bunch of guys get injured early on in the season. And with all these guys not getting enough time to, get their OTAs, their training camps and whatnot, we're seeing all these injuries. We're seeing the defense for, it seems like every team, not be as stellar as it has been in the past. Now, there's still a lot of time to improve, no doubt. We're only in the week 4. But right now, defenses, like all the defensive coordinators are just shaking, just looking at their team like, what
NFL history and points scored for the first couple of games. They broke a record this year. This is the most points scored in the first 4 games.
Yeah, and all that has to do, man. And the thing with defense is it's a lot harder than offense because you got to have your guys in shape. You got to be able to have them be in certain schemes, know where they're going. And it's hard, especially for the rookies that are coming into the league too, because they didn't have nearly as much time to prepare. I'm with you, man. A wild card team could definitely go far in the playoffs. Like I said, you mentioned a whole lot of teams there that could potentially go that far. I don't know if I don't really have a pick right now, but yeah, like you said, a lot of those teams, especially like you said, the NFC West, none of those teams have under a 500 record, so they're going to be battling at it the rest of the season, even with the Niners and their depleted team.
Yes. Well, I'll put it this way. This is a season, of course, of unpredictability, so anything can happen. Absolutely, a wild card team can make the playoffs and win the Super Bowl, which wouldn't be the first time because I remember when the Steelers did it, they were 9-7. They made the wild card, and they won a Super Bowl. Of course, it was a normal year, but it still happened. So, absolutely anybody can get from a wild card spot this year, even in the NFC East, of that.
Even in the division.
I mean, as pathetic as the division is, of course, we've seen that happen before too. When Seattle won the division with a 7-9 record, and they made they made the playoffs. So, if that can happen, it's certainly and almost absolutely possible that it will happen this year, and I think it will happen this year.
One man's trash is another man's treasure. Referring to the Bengals fan.
Yeah.
So that being said, with all the head-to-head matches and all that kind of stuff, can you see, especially in the NFC West, can you see 4 teams from one division make the playoffs in general?
I don't know. It would be tough. It would be really, really tough because, it's just a lot of, like this NFC South. I think both those teams are for sure getting into the playoffs in NFC South. But when you look at the other ones, the NFC East is weak. And I'm pretty sure that, whoever's second in the division is not going to have a better record than the Rams, the Cardinals, or even the 49ers. So at most, I would say 3. It is possible all 4 can get in there. Well, is it?
I don't
Wait,
know.
wait. Is that possible? I think it's only a max of 3 because there's only one more wild card spot. I think only.
Yeah,
I think 3 can get in there, but I know for sure. I believe 2. I believe them and NFC South are going to have 2 teams in the playoffs.
It's very possible. Now this year it's not going to happen. It's very possible for all 4 teams to make it because one team can be undefeated, the other team can only have 2 losses, and then the third team have 4, and then the fourth team have 6 because of who they play in that division. But it's probably not going to happen. Now,
do you think one of those teams is going to be better than the Saints though? Because that's how I'm saying. I don't see the worst team out of that division having a better record.
This year, I'm saying in general.
Oh, in general?
Oh, in general? I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, but this year I don't think so. Just because, like you said, Chris, I don't think that the Niners or the Cardinals are going to have a better record than the Saints.
Yeah.
The Niners, especially, just because they don't have hardly anyone left. So I don't think that's going to happen this year. If it does, then I don't think that's ever happened before. So
Never.
We'll have to see. Yep.
4, I mean, it can be done, but it's very highly unlikely. I mean, 3 might be able to do it, but 4, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, I don't think it's any way 4 can get in there.
So we have one more NFL question, but I'm gonna save that to the end because it's picks. And then so who can Miami? We're transferring to basketball now. Who can Miami target in free agency this offseason? I'm gonna give this to Logan first.
All right, I'm gonna go with kind of a controversial pick here. I got Paul Millsap.
Mm.
The reason being is, look, we know how talented Denver is, right? They got, Joker, Murray, even Jeremy Grant. Also, he's looked very good. Paul Millsap's, I think, 34, 35. He's up there in age. The Heat, I know they got Udonis Haslem, but he doesn't really play that much anymore. They need a little bit of veteran leadership. They got Iguodala. If they can get Millsap down there in the paint to help out Adebayo and Myers Leonard, all those other guys. Also, they're probably going to have to let Hassan Whiteside go also because he's a free agent coming up. So if you can just replace Whiteside with Millsap, you can get a few more points in there and you can get some veteran leadership. I think he'd be a good fit in Miami as well, just because Millsap's always been pretty consistent as a player. When he was with Atlanta a couple years ago, he was very solid. Yeah. I don't see Giannis going here, man.
No, I can't see that.
It's a bad fit for both sides. It's a terrible fit for both sides.
But I do think that I do think that Millsap would be good though. It'd be a good scheme fit.
Yeah, Giannis to Miami is just, I think it's going to be ugly, to be honest. I think it's going to be ugly.
Yeah, well, what would be more even uglier is if there's been rumors going to say Giannis would go to the Knicks. I'm like, no.
That's
paper,
worse.
Yeah. Good, but I don't know about that.
I want him to go to Dallas so bad. If he goes to Dallas, that is a big 3 that nobody's ready for. Him, Luka, and Kristaps Porzingis, the 3 best foreign players on one team. They're going to have Tim Hardaway in there. that team is going to be the best team in the West if he does that.
Oh,
I like him to Dallas for the short term and long term more than him to Golden State. Because him to Golden State is only for the next 3 years. Him to Dallas could be the next 10.
Let's see. Who you got going to Miami, though, Chris? Who you got?
Now, I'm going to throw a lot of players out there because for me, I don't think they need I don't think they need that top Giannis guy. You know, AD is out there, but I'm pretty sure AD is staying. Brandon Ingram's out there. I'm pretty sure he's staying in New Orleans. You know, DeMar DeRozan really want to fit that scheme. Gordon Hayward, not really. They don't need a point guard. Who do I think they should go out and get? Maybe a Bogdanovich, Serge Ibaka. I think Serge Ibaka off the bench because they need, you know, I like Kelly Olynyk. I like Leonard, but they still need that big man defender. Serge Ibaka is still a very, very good defender, you know, off the bench. And Jeremy Grant, listen, he's getting paid. I think the Nuggets want to keep him because going forward, you know, I have my whole thoughts on who the Nuggets. I'm gonna say before I even go, I think the Nuggets should go get DeMar DeRozan. Then they're fine. But the Nuggets are going to try to keep Grant, but Grant is getting paid. Grant worked terrifically with Miami in that starting lineup. You know, he could play the 3, 4, the 5. He's like 6'10", can shoot, can stretch the floor, can score, defend. So I think he'll fit very, very well in Miami. Then you got guys like Tim Hardaway, Marcus Morris, you know, off the bench. Maybe a Dwight off the bench. I don't think they really need true stars. They just need, you know, guys to fill out. I think the one thing they should look at is, you know, more another big man to back up. That's why I like Serge Ibaka. Maybe Dwight, but for sure Serge Ibaka. You know, or Jeremy Grant because he also fit those things. I don't think they need another guard because my Giants was a wild card team twice. I already know who that is. You're a delusional sports fan. Don't ever comment.
Yeah, we already know who that is.
Back then we were a wild card team twice. Not now.
I don't know if they're going to go out and get a point guard because I think they like Goran Dragic and none is still there. And, you know, I don't see Mike Conley. He's up for free agency, but I don't see him as a big upgrade. So I don't really think they need that top guy. I just think they need guys to help fill out their roster. Maybe some more shooters because Jimmy Butler, Tyler Herro, and Bam Adebayo is the future. Jimmy Butler is also a part of that future, but Bam and Tyler Herro are both under like 23, 24 years old. So with that being said, Miami, go get a Grant, go get a Serge Ibaka. You know, maybe go get another 20-point scorer like a Bogdanovich. Then they're on their way. I would say Daniel's definitely better than Mr. Buffalo. Of course.
Of course.
Yeah, that's true. Lewis?
Yes. Well,
so who can you see Miami getting this offseason?
Well, there's a lot we could see. I really don't know about you know, Giannis. That would, like you said, that'd be a bad move. I think I go with Bogdanovich. That seems like a really a better move there. It might give him more of a better offense. So I would think I'd go with that pick. And there was some other too.
So it's great that Ace brought up the Giannis thing because that's actually transitioning into the next topic. And you see, is Giannis the guy that take his team to the championship? And I'm going to give this one to Lewis first.
All right, could you repeat that? You broke up a bit. I couldn't get the whole question. Could you repeat that?
Is Giannis a guy that can take his team to the championship?
Well, he's tried with the Bucks, and they have failed a few times. So, but I would think that he would still be able to bring Miami a championship. I mean, because eventually he is going to get one. I mean, he is just too good a player not to get a ring. So I think that if he does, I think he'd be able to bring the team to a championship.
First.
Okay, so I'm gonna answer this in two parts. You know, we talking about a guy that can lead his team to a championship. I don't think he's a LeBron type of guy that makes everybody around him better because he's not that skilled of a passer. You know, the only time he's being able to pass the ball is when he's getting double teamed. So he's not the type of guy that can get you 12, 15 assists and make everybody around him better. If he's talking about him being a star, I believe so. When I look at him in Milwaukee, they're just a couple pieces away. I think they needed. I think but Giannis, since he's not really ball dominant, he like I said, he's not that playmaker. You need a true playmaker on that team. Eric Bledsoe is fine, but he never shows up in the playoffs. Like I said before on this show, they need to go out and they need to try to trade for Chris Paul. And then, in my opinion, I think you need to fire the head coach. I think you need to fire the head coach because Giannis needs a coach that's going to hold him accountable. He needs a coach. He needs to play more than 34, 36 minutes a night in the playoffs. I'm sorry. There's no reason Giannis isn't playing 42 minutes when you're down 0-2. That's just terrible. Like I don't know any superstar that doesn't play at least 40 minutes when you're down 0-2. So he needs a coach that's going to, hold him accountable, push him to be the best that he can be. I do think he can be the star on the main, like the biggest name, or if you want to say, on a team, and they can win. But if you're talking about him with not a lot of supporting cast, I just don't think his game is the type of game to lead people and be the, make people around him better. But if you get a Chris Paul in that team, the way it's constructed right now, you have him, Chris Paul, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, a 3-and-D guy, then that's fine. Or try to get a Devin Booker. See, I think he has a better chance of going to the Suns than the Suns trading, because I don't think they have enough for Devin Booker. For me, Devin Booker is expensive. I think he's expensive, and I don't know if they can afford Devin Booker, especially because he's younger. I think Chris Paul, any point guard that's a true playmaker, honestly, that's out there. I would take over Bledsoe. I wouldn't take Mike Conley. Mike Conley disappointed me this year. But yeah, Giannis, he's a good star. He's not a guy that I've seen so far that can make a lot of people around him better. He needs the supporting cast if he wants to win, because in the playoffs, I was hearing all these reports that Giannis wants to leave. Giannis upset. Well, Giannis didn't have the best games against Miami. It's not like Giannis was putting up 40-point triple doubles. No, they were completely shutting him down. So he needs to improve his game, and the roster needs to improve.
Yeah, you brought up a good point, Chris.
Before we get this forward, I want to. I said before we get this to Logan, I want to point one thing about that game, that series. The one game that they won in the Miami versus Milwaukee series, Giannis was not playing that game. He was start doing that, and they won that game in overtime.
Yeah, Giannis. Yeah, I know Giannis got hurt, and Miami was like, "Oh, it's over." They didn't take it serious. It was a gentleman's sweep. It had nothing to do with Giannis. I mean, they just once Giannis was out, they was like, "Oh, this is easy," and they just took their foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah, well, that's not very smart.
Yeah, 4-1.
You can't take your foot off the gas pedal because what if you crash? Then what do you got?
You make a point, but to answer your question, Nate, man, I don't see him doing it. Like you said, he needs some pieces around him. He is not a passer. We've seen that. He can't shoot to save his life. He's 25, but he's been in the league for what, 3, 4, or 5 years, maybe.
5 on 06, it feels like.
Okay, yeah. So we've seen how he's matured, how he's grown, how he's put on what seems like amazing amount of muscle over these past couple of years. He's dedicated himself in the gym, and we've seen his point total go up year by year. He's won MVPs. What can we say? He can't do it by himself. He needs, like you said, a ball dominant point guard like a Chris Paul, like maybe a Russell Westbrook or whoever else. But he's not the guy that I want to have the ball in his hands with time running down, solely because everyone knows what he's about to do. He's going to just run to the paint and hit a layup.
And a spin.
yeah, and a spin. You can't forget that. But, he needs some pieces around him. Yeah, I don't see him winning one with the Bucks. I could see
I do.
I see him winning.
Like, I think he can win with the Bucks. It's just a matter of will that organization put the talent around him? Because if you look at East next year, The Nets are about to come out of nowhere. People like they're about to be a championship contender team. You still have Miami, who went to the finals this year. They're going to even if they don't sign a top free agent or any free agents, all the guys on this squad is improving with more experience, so they're getting better. Boston is improving with more experience. They're going to get better. I don't know about Toronto. My 76ers, they got a new head coach. Everything is going better. So if that Bucks team doesn't improve their roster where it is right now, then they're not going to win. But if they make the necessary improvements, they can do it. I'm a firm believer.
With him going with the new Sixers coach.
Say it again.
Rivers. Well, what do you make of Rivers going as the coach of the Sixers?
I loved it. I almost cried. It was the best thing for the team because I love Brett Brown. I love him. I love him to death because he coached some of the worst teams in NBA history. We went to the trusted process. But I always told myself I give him 3 years when we have talent. He had the first year where we lost to Boston. He had the year before last where we had the best starting five in basketball and lost in the second round. Then this year we got swept. So I think Doc Rivers is a guy who's going to hold all his players accountable because that's something Brett Brown didn't do a lot. He's going to put his players in the best position for them to succeed and know how to play his rotations. I think it was some, fundamentally coaching things that Brett Brown didn't do right all the time. I don't think he was that loved in the locker room. It was just a lot with Brett Brown. I think the organization chose Brett Brown over Jimmy Butler. I'm a firm believer in that. I don't think they wanted to deal with Jimmy Butler, and look what he's doing right now. I think the players love Jimmy Butler. I definitely knew that Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler had a nice relationship. So I believe that the organization chose Brett Brown over Jimmy, and it didn't work out well. So I think with Doc Rivers, Doc Rivers is going to put these players in the best place for them to succeed. And we signed him for 5 years, and all our guys are young. So I don't know. I'm not going to say we're going to win next year or the year after next, but I do believe in those 5 years the Sixers are going to win one championship.
I make Dr. J proud.
To go back to
I've been around a while, guys. I've been around a while.
To go back to Ace's comment. Other than the Dallas Mavericks, I'm not talking in the future. Like I'm not talking far on in the future. I'm just saying next year. Other than the Dallas Mavericks, I can't see anyone anywhere else besides Milwaukee and Dallas.
I mean, Golden State could work.
Is there any other team?
Golden State could work if we're being honest. If you trade Andrew Wiggins, but here's my thing with Golden State though. How are him and Draymond going to be able to play with each other? I love Draymond, but Draymond 3-point shooting has to increase. I think it could work, but how would him and Draymond be? Who's going to be their five, and how are they going to fill out their roster? But if it's not Dallas, I think the next best place is Golden State. I think he has to play with shooters. His playing style, if he doesn't have shooters around him, he won't succeed. It just won't happen. So wherever he goes, if it's Dallas, if it's Golden State, I think those are the top two places. I don't think any team in the East can really use him. I don't think he's going to work with any other team in the East. Unless Boston does something dumb and says, here goes Jaylen Brown, some picks and Hayward, give me Giannis, which I think that's a terrible move. And I don't see any other team pulling that trigger. Any contending team pulling that trigger.
Logan. Logan, do you have anything to say on that statement?
No, I mean, like I said, I don't see him leaving Milwaukee right now. Just because it seems like he really loves the city. They're kind of the ones who took a shot on him back when no one knew who he was, and everyone thought he's just a bunch of letters with his name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think he's got some dedication to that town, to that city, and whatnot. I don't see him leaving yet. I think if he gets a little bit older, and he's like, okay, this isn't working out here, then he'll go somewhere else, like who knows, like a Dallas or a Golden State maybe. Because we've seen how Golden State we've seen how they draft. So they got the number 2 pick coming up. Could they use that as trade bait, or are they actually going to go with it? We'll see.
That's a good question. I think if I'm Golden State, I go Wiseman and have probably the best starting five in basketball. But I wouldn't be mad if they go get Giannis and try to win now. But I do think even with Wiseman, when you're returning Curry, Clay, and Draymond, you're already a championship contender.
Yeah.
You had Andrew Wiggins. I think what Andrew Wiggins brings to the table, he's a guy who hasn't even tapped into his full potential in the defensive end. I think in this system, he's finally playing for a good system with a great head coach. I think he's going to thrive on the offensive defensive end. You get a good young center in there who's already a good rebounder, good shot blocker, can run the court, improve on offense. Ooh, that team is nasty.
Yeah, they're going to be a threat.
They are. I don't see Giannis leaving the. He's too much favorite.
Yeah.
So I really think so. At least not this year. Maybe
next year when he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's gonna stick with free when it comes for free agent.
So
it depends on this year, but I really don't.
So
see,
so transitioning on, Chris, you made that point about the center for Golden State Warriors. So I gotta ask. I'm gonna give this to Chris and then Luis and then Logan. Who is the best center in the NBA?
Oh, you should know my answer is Joel Embiid. Best overall center in the league. You're laughing, but your center can't defend anything. He's good on offense, doesn't show up all the time. Jokic can't defend anything. Rudy Gobert can barely do anything in offense. Well, my center can do both. This year, his stats were studded because for some reason my team wanted to go sign Al Horford, 34-year-old center, to $29 million, and they signed two centers to play next to each other. This is not the 1990s. We need spacing. You look at last year, he averaged 27 and 13 with 2 blocks. That was his best year. This year, his numbers dropped. Next year, with Doc Rivers, I believe Al Horford won't be on his team, and his numbers is going to go back to his career high. He's going to average over 25. He's going to average 27 again, 13 again, and 2 blocks again. Joel Embiid is dominant, the most unguardable center on the offensive end. Nobody can stop him in a low post. You're too small, he's going to baby you. You're too big, he's still baby you. He has the best footwork. He can go out there and stretch the floor out. You look at the defensive end, like I said, he can protect the rim. He can switch on a guard. He can rebound. He's the best overall center. Like I said, Rudy Gobert is a good defender, cannot do anything on offense, isn't nearly as skilled as Joel Embiid. Jokic is a good offensive center, is terrible in the defensive end. Talking about who's the best center. And shout out to Bam Adebayo. He has taken that next leap, but he's top 5 center. And shout out to Karl Anthony Towns. He's the top 5 center, but the best one is Joel Embiid, man.
Yeah, he's the top 5 center. Luis?
You got a point there. I think I have to go with Joel Embiid. I mean, he helped the Sixers prevail to the playoffs, even though they didn't get too far. They although they were a good home team, and they put up some pretty big numbers. So I think I have to agree with you that Embiid was the best center of last year. Or I can say for a few others.
Yeah, you're not wrong, Chris. Embiid is the best two-way center, no doubt.
Logan?
Yeah, like I said, man, he is the best two-way. We see, I think Jokic has him more on the offensive end, but we saw in the playoffs that he got exposed on the defensive side of the ball. We know Jokic he can score at will. He can score over anybody whenever he wants to. He's got a beautiful jump shot, but he's not athletic. We've seen the pictures of him growing up and how he's not the most he doesn't look like an athlete. We'll just go with that. Yeah, he's definitely an offensive-minded center, which is great. That's perfect for him. But you got to be able to be a two-way guy. Yeah, so like I said, with Embiid, he's great on both ends. Cat, I don't know. He's good, but he's not as great as I thought he would be at the moment.
Oh, he's great. It's just his team success isn't there.
Yeah,
that's why I feel bad for him because he's great though. But I'll let you finish. I agree with you. I love Cat from high school, from New Jersey.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's just I don't think he's motivated right now because he's on a bad team. If he was on a team that was going to the playoffs, I feel like we'd be seeing a lot more of him. We'd be seeing just him going off. But I think just with the team he has at the moment with the Timberwolves, he's just not motivated. He's just kind of doing what he would do on an off day. I mean, that's great. He still puts up amazing numbers. But if he ever gets some motivation with that team behind him, then he'll be scary for sure. Gobert, he's just all defense, which that's fine. You know, that's perfectly fine. But I wouldn't want him to just kind of clog up the paint for me. But overall, to wrap things up, like I said, I would go with Embiid and with Jokic second.
On a joking note, Rudy Gobert. I said on a joking note, I'm saying because of the whole COVID situation.
Wow.
But as much as I hate to say it, I think Joel Embiid is probably is the best out of what we've seen this year. Now the next question is: are the Clippers a championship contender team? I'm going to give this to Logan first.
Oh God. Right now, the Clippers need to be focusing on what are they going to do to not be a laughingstock next season. We've seen Kawhi, he's fine and all, but he got kind of exposed, blowing that lead. Paul George really got exposed. The Thunder definitely won that trade, I would say. They gave up, I think it was 7 draft picks and 2 players. So I for sure think the Thunder won that on a landslide. Paul George he hasn't been the same guy since that injury he had a couple of years ago. Because before he had that, I think it was a ankle or like a knee injury or something like that.
Yeah, it was a nasty knee injury with Team USA.
Yeah. Before he got that, he was looking like a breakout star. Like he was doing his thing in Indiana. But after that, he's still been good. There's no doubt about that. He's been very good. But he hasn't lived up to the hype that he had prior to that injury. The Clippers do have some good pieces. You know, they got Lou Williams, they got Montrezl Harrell, of course, and Patrick Beverley and a bunch of other guys on there as well. Back to the
Speaking but that's the guy who said the Clippers were going to destroy the Nuggets, but now he doesn't like the Clippers. Listen, Freddie, if that's you, you are a non-factual, delusional sports fan. Logan just don't. If that's Freddie, if it's anybody else, I want to apologize. But if that is Freddie, you know he's a delusional fan.
I guess it is.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I see the Clippers making the playoffs again. Yeah. I do see the Clippers making the playoffs, obviously, with just their talent alone. I think they're going to be more kind of energized this year because, let's be honest, we all know going into this year that they only had one team in mind, and that was the Lakers. They couldn't even get to them. So I think once they got humbled, like we all know against the Nuggets, that kind of took their ego down a little bit. So I don't see them winning a championship, not with LeBron and Davis in the same – with them fighting every other night. But I do see them making the playoffs consistently. I'll give them that.
Yes. Playoffs, yes. Championship, no. I mean, let's put it this way. I mean, they've had their chances. I mean, Rivers, you know, he just couldn't deliver them to get a championship. They always seem to manage and choke, like in the first and second round of the playoffs. That's as far as they've ever gotten. So, and like you said, with AD and LeBron at the helm, as long as they're still involved with the Lakers, Clippers are just going to be, you know, the baby brother of the play circuit. I call them baby brother. That's what they are. And I just don't see it. You know, they can't even get to a conference by playing a whole playoff series. So how do you expect them to win a championship if they can't get that far? Give me up. I mean, let's put it this way: next to the Atlanta Falcons, the LA Clippers are the biggest bunch of choke artists I've ever seen, and I think this is Freddie.
Yeah, I mean, like the Clippers, they have to make a lot of improvements to their roster next year. I think they need to. They were overhyped on the defensive end. You know, they had some wing defenders. I'm saying it what it is. I don't think Patrick Beverley's a lead defender. So you have Kawhi, you have Paul George, and then you have, Morris, but they have no paint defenders. Montrezl Harrell is a good on the offensive end. He brings energy. He's not a good rebounder and not a good paint defender. So I don't even know why he, considered himself the modern day Robin. I just think that's not smart at all. And I think he's a free agent. So honestly, if I'm the Clippers, there's a couple things I'm doing. You have to make moves because the roster constructed how it is, you're not going to win a championship. I think they need to go out and they need to get a defensive-minded center. And I don't know what his asking price is, but for me, a guy who I think can fill in a lot of teams. I give two names out there. I think Al Horford could work very, very well in the Clippers. He's a defensive-minded center that can rebound, that can do a lot of things on the offensive end. I think he's better than Zubac. He's not younger, but he's better than Zubac, and he's ready for win-now mode. Then also a guy like Miles Turner, who I think is a very, very good defensive-minded center, and he can help stretch the floor and he can score on the offensive end. Also, I think they need a playmaking point guard. They do. Patrick Beverley is more of a defender. He's not a guy that's going to initiate the offense. Kawhi Leonard should never be the guy initiating the offense. And Paul George, that's not his game to initiate the offense. So I think they need a defensive-minded center, and I think they need like a quarterback of a point guard. And also with Paul George, his regular season numbers have always been good, but it's in the playoffs where he just completely disappeared. That's why he got this nickname Playoff P. Because he, like a couple years ago, he put up like 28 and like 2.5 steals. In the regular season, he always fine, but in the playoffs, something always pops up. And then just to speak on the Clippers and their playoff lack of success, you could say some of it's on Doc, but I think a lot of it is on the players. You look at some of the series that they've blown, especially this one, blowing this 3-1 series. People can say, okay, game 5 and 6 is on Doc, but game 7 is all on the players. Kawhi Leonard 6 for 22. Paul George shot how bad he shot. Everybody played terrible. All the players were trash. And then you look at previous years when they blew like a 10-point lead with like 70 seconds against the Thunder a couple years ago. When they blew that 3-1 lead against the Rockets, the players were out on that court making bad mistakes. So I understand Doc Rivers has a part, but and I understand he's only the last thing standing from back then and now when you talk about lack of playoff success. But the players haven't always played great basketball. But yeah, with that being said, how they're constructed right now, they're obviously going to be a championship contender, but I don't see them winning a championship. If they make certain moves to their roster, I think they can, be a true championship contender and possibly win one.
Listen, man, I'm just hopping on here real quick because I'm actually about to head to the airport. Chris has been very disrespectful on this.
I say it every show. Very
disrespectful. Let's just get it straight, okay? First of all, Paul George, they call him Playoff P. He need to be Pandemic P. He looked like he was a part of a pandemic, okay? But I mean, let's just be honest. All right, moving on. Yes, that Clipper team should have beat the Nuggets. When you have a dude by the name of Kawhi, when you have a dude by the name.
Did you watch the series, Freddie? Yes, I'm cutting you off because you're supposed to be at the airport, so I'm cutting you off. If you watch, you're going off names. If you watched them in the first round, you saw them struggle against Dallas. You saw what they couldn't do on the court. Of course, they were supposed to lose to them. You're going to say when you have a Kawhi, when you have none of that matters. It's team versus team. That isn't player versus player.
Listen, Chris. Listen. Let me talk. When you have a dude by the name Kawhi Leonard who came to the Clippers, said that he was better than LeBron, saying that he was the best player in the game. Then you acquire Paul George. Then you're supposed to have the next best wing combo at Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen. When you have the all-time great defender in a Patrick Beverley, the greatest sixth man of all time in Lou Williams. When you have Montrezl Harrell, like you said, called himself Dennis Rodman. They're not supposed to lose to that Clippers team. So
the Nuggets is better than them, though. You're going off names. I'm going off basketball. I don't choose.
I understand that, but when you go sit down and you start picking teams to win, you wasn't nobody.
Who wasn't? I said no.
You expect that team?
No. I had proof on this show and on my own podcast. I had proof. Because if you watch basketball, you don't go off names. You saw the whole thing. I don't say just because they have Kawhi and just because they have Paul George. None of that matters. When you're on the basketball court, Freddie, when you're playing basketball, it's team versus team, it's scheme versus scheme.
That team shouldn't have lost to that team.
Yes, they should have. If you watch them play against the Mavericks, If you watch them play against the Mavericks, they were this close losing to the Mavericks. If Kristaps Porzingis didn't tear his meniscus, then you going against a better, more experienced team in the Nuggets. If you watch them play, Freddie, they were supposed to lose. Don't say you're going to go off hype. You're going to go off hype, Freddie. I'm talking about basketball. I'm not going off hype. It's because they have. You saying Chris? I don't care. You keep saying my name.
That team. They should have lost to that team.
Yes, they should have. If you you're going to go off names just because they have Kawhi. They should never lost because they have Paul George. They should never lost. That's fine. Okay, they should have never lost. But if you watch them play, if you watch the Nuggets play, they were supposed to lose. The Nuggets, how they played completely, were going to dominate the Clippers. The Clippers, they have no answers for the Nuggets. I said that when I did my predictions, and it only came true. I wasn't saying that because I wanted the Clippers to lose. No, I wanted to see the Clippers rush the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. But when I saw the Clippers play in the first round, when I saw who they're going against, it was completely obvious they were going to lose, my guy. Watch the basketball. Watch tape, Freddie.
Chris, you're missing my point. I understand the way they played.
Your point is when you have all those guys, you're not supposed to lose, right? That's not your point.
No. Listen, I understand your.
What's the point?
I completely agree that they were struggling. I completely agree that they was struggling in the bubble. They struggled against Dallas. And they should have won that one. If Kristaps Porzingis didn't get hurt, they would have won. I'm just saying, when you have a dude by the name Kawhi Leonard, who they said was supposed to be the best player in the game, and you have a Paul George who's supposed to be one of the best two-way players in the game, and you have Doc Rivers as your coach, they should have handled their business. We all agreed that they both choked, especially in that game 7. And if you have the best player in the game, you expect them to step up. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I understand that what you're saying that they lost to Dallas. You know that they should have lost to Dallas. I completely agree with you. I'm just saying, if you want to call yourself the best player in the game, you need to take care of your business. That's all I'm saying.
All right, Mr. Anderson, go catch your flight.
Hey, by the way, Clippers need to go back to the basement. My Lakers will win the championship tomorrow night.
Kick them out.
Do you think they're going to make it tomorrow? I thought maybe we might even stick around for one more game and make it one game.